was in high school, I was in a very nerdy group of friends, and we had themed lunches every Friday. One theme was the G8. One of the times I made some pineapple cookies, because, I don't know, we did some sort of like Hawaiian theme. But the G8 one was definitely the nerdiest of all of them. Hi guys, welcome to an episode of Liz Bakes For You. I'm Liz, and today I'm making you something weird that you shouldn't make. It's from I Love Chocolate, a cookbook by Mrs. Fields. You may be thinking, she makes really dope cookies, what are you making? And I'm making low-fat chocolate cookies, which effectively are tasteless little clouds of cake that will smell good and you'll think you're going to get a real cookie, but in the end you'll accidentally eat 6 of them and not be satisfied. Let's get started. Now, a little backstory on this cookbook is it was published in 1994, back when people were like, well, if we just put a ton of sugar and stuff and no fat in it, everyone's gonna lose a lot of weight. This recipe makes 5½ dozen, which is way too many, so I'm doing a half recipe, which really isn't pertinent to the video, except for the fact that if you were to go and make this whole recipe by finding this 1994 cookbook, you would be left with hopefully some good tasting cookies, but probably way too many. I have all my ingredients measured out. I learned from last time that it's really, really distracting to take my teaspoons out and clank them around, so I measured everything before we started. What are we working with today? Well, for our dry ingredients, we have a little bit of flour and cocoa powder, and then we have a little bit of baking soda and salt. Pretty standard. Nothing too healthy about any of that yet. For our wet ingredients, and sugar is considered a wet ingredient, we have a giant amount of brown sugar and a giant amount of regular granulated sugar. We also have oil, which is just a standard clear oil. And last, and most healthily, we have egg whites, applesauce, and then vanilla extract. Egg whites get a good rap for being fat-free, but personally, I like the whole egg. This is pretty simple. What we're gonna do is just take these sugars, we're gonna pop them in a bowl, and we wanna incorporate these together. So we just wanna make sure these 2 sugars become 1 slightly less brown sugar together. So those 2 are combined, and now we're going to add the oil. We're supposed to slowly beat in the oil. That's not gonna do anything. You can just plop it in there and stir it in. And you know what, if these cookies aren't good, there's a number of reasons why they might not be good. And maybe if I had slowly added the oil, that would have been the reason they weren't good. We'll never know, because I'm never making these again. Then we're gonna add our last wet ingredients, which are the egg whites, the applesauce, and the vanilla. Now, one thing about egg whites is they do whip up. They can take on a lot of air. So in this recipe, it basically says to blend on low speed until smooth. So you're not trying to add any air to these egg whites. You're just trying to make this sloppy mixture that's happening in front of me right now. The last thing is the dry ingredients, and we're gonna add those all in at one time. However, one major thing to remember whenever you're working with cocoa powder is it's usually kind of clumpy, and those clumps won't mix out when you're going to mix the ingredients together. And basically, you want all of your ingredients and whatever you're baking to be incorporated properly, and it's very rare that you don't want your cocoa powder to be incorporated, so we're going to grab a sifter. Oh, as you know, I'm in an Airbnb, and not all of this is not my kitchen, usually, so I have a colander, which is similar to a sifter, but it doesn't look quite the same, and I can't rest it on the top of this, so I'm just going to be a little bit agile with this. All right, and then the last thing I just added was the salt and the baking soda. Usually baking soda is going to be reacting only if there's an acid in the mix, and I think because of the applesauce there is a little bit of citric acid happening because of that. But I'm pretty sure the texture of these cookies is going to be relatively cakey and probably a little bit denser. It's hard to tell what these are going to look like. The photo isn't very appealing, is all I'm trying to say. Although none of the photos in this cookbook are very appealing. They're the kind of photos where they took the dessert and then they're like, okay, now take everything that is around it that would make it look like photographic and just delete it. This one has a doily and this one has a ribbon. But then these cookies, it's terrible. I don't know who produced this cookbook. Some of the recipes in it are very good though. We're supposed to put this in the fridge for an hour to let it set up, which will, the flour will hydrate, so it will get a little thicker because of that. But I don't know how it's gonna get thicker than this because it does have butter, so it's not like the butter setting up. I'm actually gonna put it back in this smaller bowl because this bowl was overcooked. All right, so this is gonna chill for 1 hour in the fridge, and then we're gonna bake it, and then I'm going to be your personal taste tester to let you know if you need to run to your local thrift store and find the 1994 Mrs. Fields cookbook. Looks like brownie batter. It smells good. Tastes like brownie batter, like a box mix brownie batter. We are back with the low-fat chocolate cookies. The dough has been chilling in the fridge for a little over an hour. And we're also back with my nemesis, the If You Care parchment paper. This has been in the fridge. It's been chilling for a little over an hour and pretty solid. You're only supposed to make them into 1-inch balls, which probably fit a lot on one tray. Psych myself out with this stuff. So you're going to grab your baking tray and line it with some parchment paper, or if you're doing as I told you to do, which is never making these cookies, you're just watching me do this, you're not lining anything. Sorry. If you fold it too much and then you can't like utilize the whole pan, it's a whole mental. Roll the dough into small balls. Place on a cookie sheet and flatten slightly, sprinkle with chocolate chips if you have them. We don't have them, so we're just doing chocolate. And then bake 17 to 19 minutes. Okay. This is a very weird texture. I don't know how you're gonna flatten these, they're so sticky. Look at this, this is chaos. Maybe I can do 2 at once, what do you think? Is this working? The things we do for beauty. I think I made these too big. We can flatten these. What do you think? With these? Damp pinkies. Oh yeah, that's the ticket. Come look. Come closer. All right, I'm going to put these in the oven for, this oven's been too hot, so I'm gonna put it in for 10 minutes and check on them. Here they go. Need a timer. It appears that these are done. They don't look like normal cookies, so I'm using my best judgment here. It was about, I'd say, 13 to 15 minutes. What do we think? Low-fat cookies. Okie dokie. Okay, so the first one I rolled out, that was really circular. Still circular and very cute. Oh, they're like little clouds. Look at them. As suspected. This tasted to me like a really, like a brownie mix, box mix, or like the batter itself tasted a lot like if you didn't put the correct amount of eggs and liquid into like a chocolate cake mix. These are really cakey. You know when you eat something and you think, I don't really like that. Let me eat some more of it. That's what I'm having right now. What is it about these? Okay, I don't like them. Let's say, I'm gonna like be definitive. I don't like them. It's more a question of why. They're just like, if someone were to hand this to me and be like, do you want a cookie? And I'd be like, yeah, I love cookies. And then I'd eat this and be like, oh, I want a cookie. That's my reaction. I think that's why I don't like them. But they're low fat, so you're gonna, fine. Here, try. There's somehow so many ingredients and yeah, there's like not a lot of flavor. Maybe I should try these again with like a whole egg and butter and see how they come out. I'm gonna just eat one more just to see how much I hate it. I'm trying to think of ways you can make them better. You could just not make them. No, it could be better. Don't try these ones. And please God, never make us go back to making everything fat free.